Stop. Okay, I believe my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Um, okay, so welcome everyone. I hope you are comfortable in running Jupyter Notebook under Colab. So people knows how to run Colab notebooks. In yesterday, I hope they have introduced how to Jupyter Notebook. So this is the uh, IDE, you can say, I'm using to run Python program. Though there are so many IDE, integrated development environment, you can use to run your Python script, right? So command that I'll be running here, you can equally run them in any Python interpreter you have, right? So that is not an issue. So I'll be using this Colab notebook to showcase basic data structures in Python, such as uh, the list, tuple, dictionary, and sets. Okay. All right.
I think it would be nice if you show them how to run it on Google Colab.
Okay.
So
Okay.
many
So
yesterday I think it was
just
discussed.
maybe people can message me in the chat if they, if is there anyone who is not aware of how to run Colab notebook? Just message in the chat so that I can see. Okay, so Vishesh is saying I'm not aware. Okay, okay. So I'll tell how to run Colab. Okay, so what you have to do basically, you have to log in your Gmail, right? Something like this. Okay, so I'm logged in my Gmail account and let me see. So there is something like this here. Okay, can you see these 9 buttons? Google Apps, right? And there, uh, just a second. Can you see these apps where my mouse is? Okay, so there you will see, let me see if Colab is there. Okay, Colab doesn't look like. So what you have to do, you just type colab.research.google.com. That's it. Okay, you don't have to install anything. So just type colab.research.google.com. I'll also put it in the chat so that you can directly, let me see. Okay, if I can put it in the chat box. Yeah. So you just click this one and you will be fine. Okay. So what will happen is that it will open this Google Collaboratory. Okay. And it is basically a cloud-based platform where you can run your code written in Python. Okay. So basically what you have to do, you go to the file here. Okay. Just a second. Go to the file and just click open new notebook. Okay, create a new notebook, and then it will load the notebook. Yeah, now you are all set. Okay, you can write anything, any Python command, it will run here. So just 1 second, one more thing is that once it opens the Colab notebook, you have to click the connect button here. Can you see this button here? You have to click the connect. Okay, so it says connecting. So basically what happens when you open a Colab notebook, uh, it connects with the Google server. Okay, so can you see?
Sir, when I open the link,
So
Okay.
in it's not opening. It says that it is not opening in your browser. The site may not work in your browser.
Oh, okay, maybe you are using maybe old version of browser. Try to open in a different browser. Anyone here got success in opening the notebook?
So what else can I use for?
Change the
Uh,
browser. Change the browser. Maybe the updated browser. Mozilla. Try Mozilla.
Motion. I don't know how to do that.
Which browser you are using? Chrome or something else?
I'm using Google Chrome.
Google Chrome. So what is the error?
It's just saying that you can't open it in this browser.
Okay, then you have to update the browser. You are using, I think, the old browser. So someone who has opened it successfully, it should work. So don't worry. I mean, you can see my screen. So once you open it, it will work, right? So once you update your browser, it should be fine. Okay. So what is happening over here is that you don't have to install anything. Just click that link and it will open Colab notebook. Okay. So here you have to click the connect. So once you connect, you are connected. So can you, when you hover your mouse, you can see it is connected to Python 3 Google Compute Engine backend. RAM allocated by Google to you is around 12.69 GB and disk hard drive is around 107.72 GB, right? So this is what Google offers you for free when when you are using Google Collaboratory in order to run your, let's say, Python program. Okay, so that's the best thing. I mean, let's say you don't have access to a Linux machine. Okay, you don't have Python installed. So this is the advantage of a cloud computing. You don't install anything, you don't have anything, still you can run your Python program. Okay, so yeah, once you are connected here, then you can also check, uh, click this drop down button and you can see view resources. Okay, then go to change runtime. Then here you can select, let's say you are running some deep learning program, you can connect with GPU server or TPU server and so on, right? So right now we are not running any deep learning program, so we are not selecting anything. We'll leave it as it is, okay? And then you can directly come here.
So can
And
sir, can you recommend another thing? Can I use another thing if I can't open this right now?
what do you mean another thing?
Like I can't open this link right now because of my browser. So can you tell another site?
Use different browser. Firefox, you know Firefox? This one, Mozilla Firefox, right? So you can type collab.research, .google.com. Let us see. Yeah, now it is opening. You should be signed in Google or maybe Gmail. Only then it will work, right? No, it doesn't require sign in, right? So can you see the screen? Now I open Google Colab in a different browser. Okay, so perhaps you have to update your browser. Okay, otherwise don't worry, it's just a way to run your Python. So do you have any Python interpreter? Yesterday you have installed something, right?
Yes, I have Python 3.8.3 shell.
Okay, that's great. So you can run the same command there as well. No need to install or open Colab, right? So
Okay.
it's just a way to run your script, your code. That's it. Okay. So you can type here equal to 5 and then press Control Enter. It will run. Okay. So I can say print a. So it will say, yeah, I got 3. Can you see? So I defined a variable a equal to 3 and then printed it. And in order to run this, we call this as a cell in Colab, Jupyter Notebook. So Jupyter Notebook, you should install. Let me tell you about that as well. Jupyter Notebook. So you go to this site and you can also install Jupyter Notebook from here. Okay. So it is basically, once you install it in your Python, it will open Notebook in the browser. So this browser I am opening over the cloud, okay, over the Google server. I didn't install anything. Let's say you want to open Notebook, Jupyter Notebook in your local browser, right? So if you install via pip, right? Everybody knows here what is a pip command.
Yes, sir.
Yes, right. So pip is a Python module installation command. So if you want to install something, just let us say this is my okay, so this is my terminal. The thing is that I'm using Linux. Sorry for that. Those who are on Windows machine. So I have installed Python 3. So okay, just Python 3.5, I think. Yeah. So I activated my virtual Python environment, right? So it's always good to run Python command or activate Python environment using a virtual environment, right? So virtual Python environment is always good. It basically it keeps your code separate, right? So assuming you have installed Python, so in order to run the Jupyter Notebook, you have to type Jupyter Notebook. Okay, that's the command. Okay. Okay. I have already installed, so I didn't type anything. So it will open. Wait for some time. Yeah. Now you can see Jupyter Notebook is running in my local machine. Okay. So you can see localhost colon 8888. Okay. When something is written as a local host, that means Jupyter Notebook is running on the local machine in my computer. Okay. Earlier notebook, this notebook which I opened here in Colab, it is a notebook running on the Google server, not here, not on my machine. Okay. So that's the difference. So
Sir, what did you type for that? Opening the Jupyter machine, Jupyter notebook on the local machine.
Come
Can you show
again.
that once again?
I didn't get you completely. What was the question?
I was asking, what did you type for opening the Jupyter notebook?
Ah, okay, okay. Yeah. So this is the command, Jupyter Notebook.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order to install, let us say, I'll tell you, let us say you have activated the Python or you are in a terminal. So you just type pip install Jupyter. Okay. Jupyter. So you can see what is going on my screen. Okay. Can you see? I mean, so many things are going on. Pip install Jupyter.
Yes, sir.
So it will install Jupyter in my machine. Okay. It is done. Now Jupyter is installed. So now type Jupyter space notebook. I think you are not able to see my screen. The last command. It should be visible now. Can you see my what command I
Yes,
have
sir.
typed here? Jupyter Notebook. As soon as you press enter, it will open something like this in the browser. Okay, something like this. Okay. Now you want to open Notebook. Go to New and select Python 3. Okay, select Python 3. Then error occur while creating a new notebook. Okay, just a second. Let me activate the command again because I had already closed the previous Jupyter Notebook command. Go to New, click Python 3. So it will open Jupyter Notebook in the local browser. Okay, now you can type a equal to 5, print equal to hello. Okay, that's it. Okay, can you see? So that's the advantage of Jupyter Notebook. Whenever you type something, you just click Control Enter, it will give the output there. Okay, so If you press shift enter, it will create run the current cell. We call this as a cell. Okay. So where I'm typing something, we call this as a cell. So if you press shift enter, so it will run the current cell and go to create a new cell here, right? Can you see? It created a new cell. Yes. So I will wait for 5 minutes for everyone to install this one, so that you can type the command simultaneously. Okay. Just type in chat how many of you have installed Jupyter. Single command pip install Jupyter. That's it. Okay. Okay. So Priya has finished. Very good. How do we install in Windows? Arun has installed. I have installed. So those who are on Windows machine, so you have to follow the instructions.
Sir, they can use Anaconda Navigator also.
Uh-huh. Okay. So there on the Jupyter website, so they also give the option to try it in your browser. Can you see? Without installing, try it in the browser. And for installing in the, so there are two things. One is a Jupyter Lab. This is the most advanced, a new Jupyter notebook. Earlier it was called Jupyter Notebook. Okay. So if you want to install, click here. So I think those who are on the Windows machine, if you open your command prompt and if you can activate Python there, then you should be able to install Jupyter via these commands, or just search in Google. Let's say if you are install Jupyter.
Dr. Chandis, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
Hello. Yeah, please go ahead with your lecture because most users are on Windows.
Oh,
and I
okay.
think they will do it. They will
Yeah.
do
So
it
you,
themselves.
okay. I'll start with one. So if you just search
You
in,
have told them the method how to do it, and let them do themselves.
yeah.
You
Okay.
please go ahead with your. They already have the Python interpreter.
Yes. So if you are Python, I mean, that's fine. Whatever command I'm showing here, it will work. Okay. So following Professor Suresh advice, let us continue our discussion. Okay. So today I'm going to talk about Python list, dictionary, sets, and tuple. So these are the Python data structures, or sometimes we call it as a container because they hold some data, right? So Python list, the first thing I'm going to talk about. So Python list is very similar to an array in C programming. I believe all of you have heard of what is a C programming, or maybe sometimes you may not be, those who are not in programming background, you may not know. So basically, let me show. So an array is nothing but, it's a, let me open my tablet. I'll show you. So Python list is an extension of array in C. Okay. So, so in C programming, you might have seen, just a second, let me open my, yeah. So in C, you have seen this kind of array, right? So you say, okay, int A equals something like, you say 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that, right? So in C programming, an array is a contiguous memory location which is stores elementals, right? We declare some data type, what kind of data you want to store in this array, right? And then these items are stored in a contiguous location in the memory, right? So an array is a collection of similar, in C programming, an array is a collection of similar items, similar types of items which are stored in the memory. Okay. And list in Python is very similar to an array in C. Okay. However, there are certain differences which I'll talk about now. Okay, in a moment. So let us understand what is a C, and then sorry, what is a list, how to create it, and then okay, why there is a blank? Just a second. Okay. Okay. So let us understand how to create a list, and then we'll talk about the properties of a list. Okay. So creating an empty list. So if you want to create a list, so you type the name of the list here. Let us say empty, or whatever name you want to say. You want to say, let's say IG. Okay. Equal to you use this square bracket to create an empty list, right? There are other ways to create list. I'll talk about in a moment. Uh, so yeah, you can go ahead and execute your. Sorry, here I just changed the name of the list, so you have to type something like okay, IGU. Okay, and then run it. So it will create the empty list. This list doesn't hold any item because I didn't store anything, right? So in order to create a list in Python, you have to use this square bracket. Although there are other ways to create a list, let me show you that as well. Another way to create a list is using a list object or list function, you can say. So it will also create an empty list. Okay, so you just run it and it says okay, list is created, right? So square bracket, whenever there is, it means it is a list in Python. Okay, so now you can actually create list different, you can insert items in the list. Okay, so let us run next cell and see within that square bracket you can put these numbers. Let's say you want to store 1 2 3 in the list, put those numbers around the square bracket and run it. So it will say okay, this list stores number 1 2 3. Okay, so that's another way to initialize a list. Okay, it's another way to initialize a list. Very simple. Uh, Now let us go to the next cell. Casting an iterable. Um, I don't know if you have heard of what is a range. Anyone here who knows what is a range function?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what does it do?
It gives the value between 2 points or two.
So yeah, it's a way to create some numbers. Zero, starting with zero is the last. So I want to create 10 numbers. So I haven't specified what is the starting point. So it will start creating numbers from 0 up to 10 minus 1. So basically whatever is passed here. Okay, so that's how that it tells how many item I want in my output. Okay, so basically it's a Python function, Python built-in function. Okay, so it's actually generator, that's more advanced. So if you type just range 10, so what would be the output of this function call? If I just run it, range 10, what will happen? Those who know a little bit of Python or advanced users of Python, what will happen if I run this command?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Actually, I have a question, sir. So, how do you like create a new cell in like
Notebook, shift enter, press shift enter.
shift enter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Or you can also If you are using collaboratory Google Colab, you just hover your mouse at the end of this cell, it says code. Okay. Shift enter is a
Right, right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
so if I run this range 10 command, it says range 0 to 10, right? So from this range, I can create my list. Okay, so I have to pass this range output into this list function. So within the list, I am saying range 10. So that this whole thing range 0 to 10 gets converted into a list. Okay, so if I run this cell, can you see that the output is are the numbers from 0 to 9, right? So actually, I mean, there are a lot of things I'm not telling you. So here the range is basically a generator. So a generator is something in Python which is a kind of iterator which is used to generate numbers on the fly, right? Why? Because sometimes we don't want to, let's say I want to create an array of million size. Okay, so in array you have to create an array of million size and insert those numbers in C, right? So the thing is that in that case you have to allocate memory for 1 million data items, right? So in C programming, those who are aware of, you don't know, right? Once you create an array, you have to specify the size of the array, correct? When you specify the size of array, and let's say array size is 1 million, you have to allocate memory for 1 million item, which is very, very memory intensive because you have to create reserve memory for that many items, right? So that's the beauty of Python. When you type something like range 10 or the iterator or generator, let's say I want to create, an array of 1 million. Okay, I think it's 1 million. Okay, so if I execute this cell, it will run much, much faster than a C program. Why? Because range is a generator. It will not allocate memory in memory for 1 million items in your RAM. Okay, it just says that okay, whenever you need item in this 1 million range of items, I can go ahead and create those items on the fly when you need it, rather than pre-allocating memory for 1 million items, right? So that's the beauty of generators in Python. Okay, so those actually generator is not the topic I'm supposed to talk about. Okay, so generator and iterator you should look at. These are the very powerful Python you can say Python functions, objects, whatever you call it. So you go to python.org, look at the Python documentation, and especially you open this glossary. Okay, so within this glossary you can look at, sometimes you might hear some terms which is not familiar to you. So I suggest you go to the glossary and open it. Okay, so you will see all the basic terminologies of Python are described here. What is a dictionary, what is a docstring, and so on. You can take a look here. Okay, what is a generator and iterator, it is mentioned here. Okay, so you can take a look. So let us come back to our discussion. So let us say you want to create a list using a range function. So you can definitely do that. Pass that range 10. So when you say 10, that's basically the size of the array or list. Okay, so create a list of size 10 and pass that range to a list function, and it will create a list for you, right? So that's another way to create a list. There are many other ways to create the list, right? So so what are the properties of the list? Let us, we'll talk about what are the different operation we can do with the list. So before that, let us talk about what are the important characteristics of Python list. Okay. So first thing is this one, the lists are ordered. Okay. Lists are ordered. That means the order in which you insert the item in the list, they will be maintained. Okay. So for example, so here let us say I'm inserting 2, 3, and 4 or 5. Okay, so if I print this list, I will get the same order in which I input these items. So I input 2 is the first item, 3 is the second item, 5 is the third item. Okay, so when I print, so I get the same as an output. So same order is maintained. So that's why it is called lists are ordered. Okay, there are another data structures which are unordered. We'll talk about that. Okay, after some time. So that's one thing. Second property of the list is this one. List can contain any arbitrary objects. Okay, list can contain any arbitrary objects. What does it mean is that in the same list, I can type hello and will it work or not if I run this cell?
It will work.
Anyone? I didn't hear properly.
It will not.
It will not work. Who is saying it will not work?
Sarah.
Sarah is saying it will not work. Okay, how confident you are it will not work?
50%.
50%. Okay. What about the others? Who is 100% confidence?
Sir, it
Yes,
will
Sir,
come.
it will work.
Okay, I'm getting mixed response from the audience. In C programming, will it work or not? If I initialize an array in C, will it work?
It won't.
No.
No, it will not work. Sir.
It will not work because C programming array in C, it is mandatory that all the
Sir,
items.
it's in C programming, its data type is already mentioned like integer or float or
Correct,
anything.
correct.
So
So in C, all the data item that you are inserting into the array should be of the same type. But here, some items are the integer type, other are a string type, and then you are doomed. Okay, it is not going to work in C, but it will work in Python. Because that's where lists are different from C array. Okay, in Python list, you can insert any kind of object you like. So this is the point or the meaning of the second point here. Okay, list can contain any arbitrary object. That means you can insert float here also, let's say 2.0. Okay, you can even put another list. You can, I mean, whatever data type is there in Python, you can insert anything, it will work. Okay, so if I run, you can see the output, right? So that's the beauty of list, right? Now tell me, those who know list, how Python is doing this magic, and you are not able to do in C, right? We know, but how Python is able to do all this thing? How does it Python know how I'm gonna store these in memory? How should I allocate memory for these different kinds of objects in list? Right? Do you know? Okay, so that's actually something internal. So that's something that you need to explore. I'll maybe talk about this at the end of the talk, how Python maintains memory location of different kinds of objects which are inserted into the Python list. Okay. So for now, think of the list which can store any kind of objects you have. Okay. List, dictionary, tuple, sets, whatever you know, it will store everything. Okay. Third thing is this one, the list elementals can be accessed by index. So this is talking about how to access an item in the list. Okay. So let us say I want to, so I created my list, which is shown in the first here, cell here. Let us say I want to access, yeah, let me tell one more thing. So the indices in the Python, you know how to access item in the C, right? Okay, let me.
yes, sir.
Okay, so maybe some of you are not familiar with. So let me open. So in C array, right? So when you create an array, so these memory locations have some numbers, right? This is location 0 and 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Something. So array indexing starts with 0, goes to, let's say, whatever number, whatever the size of the array is, right? So same is true with the Python list. So you can actually use similar indices to access item in the list. Okay, so first location of the first item is start with 0, and then second item is actually is at position 1. So let us say my list name is A. So if I want to access third item, so I will write A2. So that's my third item, right? So I will do A2. So one, because first index is starting with 0, so I'll start, whatever item is said. So 3 minus 1, that's my index for that item. So third item is basically A2. Okay, so that's how Python stores or indexes these items. Okay. Aha, that's you are seeing black screen when I'm minimizing. Let me close this. Okay, so if I want to access any element in this list, I use this square bracket, similar to how I access an item in the C. If I want to access first item, type 0, it will say 2. That's great. If I type, okay, 3, what will be the output, Sarah?
The output will be 3 only.
3 only? Okay. From Bishesh is saying it is 0. Anybody can predict the correct output?
So it
0.
will be the list 1, comma 2.
0.
Maybe you can type in the chat so that I can see. Vishesh is saying 0. Somebody says it will print 1 and 2. Okay,
Yes, sir. It will print 1 and 2.
Those who, I think Hitarth is saying
Yes,
1
sir.
and 2. So basically, if you look at the commas, right? So comma means basically so this is my first item with its 0th location. This is location 1. This is location 2. Because this is a float number, remember 2.0 is a float, so this is a one item. Okay, so this is 0, then 1, then second, and then third location. So third location is entire this thing. So if I type IGU3, it will print 1 and 2. Can you see? So there is no
Yes, sir.
magic. I mean, just remember that indice notation I mentioned in when I draw the array, right? A0, A1, A2.
Why will it print 1 and 2?
Why it will print? Because 1 and 2 is stored at that location. Okay. So let me open the memory location. So okay. So here is the memory layout for this list. So this is IGU list. Okay. So how it is stored in memory is something like this. And this is my location 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. So first we had 2, then 3, then 2.0, then we had 1 and 2. Yes. And then we had hello, I think, right? So this is how Python stores these things in memory. Okay. This is fourth location. Can you see? So IGU is a list, and this list is stored in RAM in this way. 0th location is pointing to 2, 1 is pointing to 3, 2 is pointing to this item, 3 is pointing to this entire list. So in this Python list, you can think of each item as an object. Okay. Don't think this is an integer or this is a float, this is a string. No, don't think like that. You think,
Sir,
yes.
Okay, got it.
sir, I had one doubt. If there is a list inside a list, like there is a list 1, comma 2,
Mm-hmm.
and now I add another 1, comma 2, comma another list 1, comma 2, and if I want to access that list,
Mm-hmm. How to
then
access that? Yeah, I'll come to that. How to access nested list. Okay. So let us talk about the first level, and then we'll go deeper. Okay, Hitarth.
okay,
So yeah,
okay, sir.
so here when you are storing these items, don't think they are the integer or float or string. Think of they are some object, something, some item. So what is the size of this list? Who can tell me what is the size of this list? Size of this list is how much?
5.
5.
5, right? Because there are 5 items. So basically in memory, space will be created for 5 items, or not item, more concrete word would be objects. So Python treats each entry in this list as an object. Okay. So each, whatever you are storing here, 2 is an object, 3 is an object, 2 is a 2 point, float is object. So everything is object. Okay. So it creates location for 5 items, and that's why when you are indexing this with 3, so this array with 3, so whatever is stored at location 3, you are getting that the whole object. So here in this case, the object is 1 and 2, right? So when you index this, that thing, you got this as an output, 1 and 2. Okay. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Let us move on. I'll talk about that nested list, whoever has asked. Okay. So this is the memory layout of Python list. Okay. Okay, great. Let us move on. Okay. When I'm minimizing this writing, this thing, you are seeing a black screen, something blackish on your screen.
Yes, sir.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Very strange. I don't know why. Let me close it. Usually I minimize and it works, but somehow. Okay, it should go away now.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Can you please share the link of the collab file you're using in the chat?
Okay, okay. So you want to access this one?
Yeah, I want to access it. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry for the interruption.
Okay, no problem. Share with, let me see if everybody can access it. So share with anyone with the link. Okay, so I'll share this collab in the chat. Okay, sorry. Okay. So
स्टेयरिंग है ए बी सी, ये देखो ये
Yeah,
थोड़ी नीचे रहता है, ऐसे फील हो जाता है, ऐसे ऊपर है ये नीचे, ये प्लेन है, ये थोड़ा ऊपर महसूस होता है, ये शूज में पता नहीं चलता, वो फील करना पड़ेगा आपको। आदत जैसे झील में गया थोड़ा सा, हाँ इसकी जगह
somebody
ये दबा
mic
दे,
is on, please turn
ब्रेक
it
लगे
off.
इससे तो दबा स्टॉप हो जाएगा मामला। नहीं बहुत ज्यादा आने डाल मैं पे
Nisha, can you
बस आ जा,
turn off the mic?
ये स्टेयरिंग है, गियर लीवर गियर कहते हैं,
I'm getting
हैंड
some
ब्रेक
noise.
ये
Okay, so yeah. So using a square bracket with initial values, you can also initialize your list in this fashion. That is also fine. You have already seen this one. Okay. So let us do something different, creating using multiplication. So you can also create list using multiplication operation. So let us say I want to create a list of 10 numbers. So all the numbers should be 0. So what you do, you just create, put that number, whatever number you want to replicate. So basically I want to create a list, all entries initialized with 0, right? So this is very beautiful command in Python, that if you want to create a list all with zeros initialized, so you put that number, whatever number you want to replicate, and then you put a multiplication operator, and then how many times you want to replicate that thing. So basically this list of one number will be replicated 10 times. Okay, so if I run this cell, you can see that I created a list of 10 numbers, all numbers are 0. Okay, so in C you have seen, right, when you type int a, and then by default in some compiler all the numbers are initialized with 0, right? Sometimes it's a garbage, right? So this is very beautiful thing. So you can go ahead and also increase it to 20, so it will replicate the same number 20 times. So you can, in fact, what will happen if I make it 2 or 3? What would be the output?
It would be 3.
3 instead of 0.
20 times.
20 times, right? Yeah. So basically what I'm saying is that a list, so remember this is a list, right? So this is a list containing just 3, and multiplication operation is saying replicate this list that many times. So if I run this command, you will see the same list is replicated 20 times. That's it. Very simple. Okay. So that's another way to create a list. And we often use this command when we are writing code or big projects. We use such technique to create a huge list. It's a nice way. Okay, so mixing data types. List can contain multiple data types. I have already mentioned. List can contain a character, float, integer, another list, another dictionary, whatever you want, right? So it can have anything. Okay. Yeah, so let us talk about indexing. That means, so now you know 3 ways to create a list. One was just using square bracket, another was using the list. Okay, list one, another one is this one, creating using multiplication. Now we are moving towards how to access item in the list, right? Let us say we have this list, or maybe this one. So access the first item we have already seen, 0th. First item is stored at 0th location, so you say it's a 0. Okay, so I don't know if number is created. Yeah, okay. So access the, yeah. One more thing I want to talk about. This is very intriguing and very different than C. Okay, let me draw this one. So here we have already seen that in the list we had stored these things, right? 1 and 2. Then we stored hello. Okay, we had 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So there is another way to access items in this list, which is basically negative indexing. So another way to view these location in Python is saying that these last item is starting at -1, second last is stored at -2, then -3, -4, -5. So if you want to access, let's say, let us call this as a IGU, the list name. Let us say I want to access the last item. So one way to access the last item is saying IGU4, because for hello is stored at 4th location, right? The same thing can be accessed using this another indexing scheme in Python, which is very intriguing, very different, right, compared to C. So if I want to access the last item, I can also say IGU -1. So as soon as I type, it will return hello. It will return hello. Okay. So if I type IGU -2, it will return this one, 1 and 2. So it's a reverse way, or it's a reverse way of traversing the list. Okay. So remember these indexing. It will be handy in the coming sales that I'm gonna run. Okay. So is this clear? How these items are stored? -1, -2, -3.
Yes.
So this is very beautiful thing in Python. So I'm gonna use that.
Yes, sir.
In a moment. Let me close this. This is very strange. Okay. So yeah. So access the not this last item actually. If you want to access the last item, what was our numbers? I don't remember my number. Okay. So number array, number list was something like 0 to 9. Okay. So that's our number list. So if I'm accessing number -1, it will return the last item. Remember the last item in this list was 9. Let us say, let me print what was this array. Okay. So yeah, so that's my array. So if I say numbers -2, it will return what? If I say -2.
8.
8.
Yes, very good.
8.
Yeah, so you just move backward, starting from here, you go backward, right? So this is another way to access item in a list. Okay. So if you want to access 8, there is another way. You just type 7. I think it will return 8. Oh, sorry, you have to put right 8, right? Because the array size is 10. Okay. Yeah, you can access any item using the index. You already know that one, right? So I'm not running this one. So somebody had asked, let me, because we are talking about how to access item in the list, let me create a nested list and I'll tell you how to access the nested item in the list. Okay. So this is my array, or this one. This is my, sorry, sometimes I'm mixing array and list, but since I'm talking about Python, so whenever I'm saying array, you think of list, not the C array. Okay. So that's my list. Now let us make it a nested list, and I want to insert, let me modify the list at location 0 and make it a nested list, 1 and 2. Okay. So what would be the output now if I just execute this cell?
1 and 2.
1 and 2 followed by the rest of the item as it is. The thing is
Yeah.
that I didn't tell you how to insert the item, because things are so, I wanted to explain how to access item in the nested list. For now, forget about this one. So imagine I created a list something like this one. Okay. So you can do that also using simple, something like 1 and 2 followed by whatever you want to insert. Okay, 3, 4, 5 and blah blah blah, right? So you can go ahead and do that, not an issue. Okay, so you can also, yeah, so you think of, so this is my nested list. Okay, I didn't print it, numbers, sorry. So that's my nested list, because it contains list of list. So let us say I want to access the first item. So first item is 1 and 2. So because you can see, right, first item is 1 and 2. Yes. Now I want to access item which is there inside this inner list. Remember, this is my inner list. Okay. So I want to access this one. How to do that? So if I access first item, I got 1 and 2. So if I put another bracket, okay, another bracket, that means I will get an hold of the inner list and it will return 1. Okay, so basically it's a going. So what is happening is this one. So when I type this one, you can think of this one that it returned me first list. I can assign this as a list A equal to number 0. Okay, so if I print A, what would be the output now? Come on, anyone?
Number
1 and 2.
0.
1 and 2.
1 and 2, very
1 and
good.
2.
Right, so if I print this one, A is nothing but 1 and 2. So what is A here? What kind of data type A is?
List. List.
Yes, you can see, right? Because there's a square bracket, definitely it is a list, right? Without any doubt, you can say, yeah, I got a list, right? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
Very good. Now, since A is a list, A is a list, I can access any item I want, right? Now, I want to access one in that list. How can I do that?
A0.
So if I type A0, it will return 1. Yes or no? Can you see? Right?
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
if I, can you see that I assigned this inner list to a different variable and I'm accessing that item now, right? So this is a very awkward thing, very big command, right, to access just one. So in order to shorten this whole thing, what I had done earlier was this one. Okay, so if I club these two commands together and put a square bracket and type 0, that's it. I will get my 1. So basically these two commands I have clubbed in one. Everybody sees this one, what is going on?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now you can access 2 list, 3 list, any level of nested list. Can you do that?
Yes, sir.
So if I make it, let's say another list, okay, maybe 7 and 8, right? You can access that one also, right? So if I want to access 8, what would be the command? Tell me quickly.
Number 1.
Number 1. Somebody said number 1 and 1.
Numbers 1.
Numbers
One.
1.
1.
Let us see.
Numbers 1.
Let us see what we are getting.
Numbers.
Oh, it is not valid.
0 1 0 1.
Okay, so who is
Yes,
saying 0
0.
and 1? So what went wrong? Let me show this one first.
Sir, the
So what went wrong?
the bracket is already closed.
So why it returned?
Sir, it went wrong because when we went to 1, there was no list. Means there was
Hmm.
no list inside that. So
Yeah.
it was only one number 3.
So you are getting a right output here, but in this list, when I say again 1, return me 1, because first output of this one is 3, right? Can you see? First output is 3. So now you are saying in this integer, return me the item at position 1. Will it be possible? If there is a single integer, you are asking to return the item at first location. Will it work?
No, sir.
No, right? So that's why it was wrong.
I have a question. If we type number 1, so why did it come 3?
Okay. So because okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to answer to this question of Sarah?
Because it's at the position 1. You don't see the number, you see the position.
Remember, this is the first 0th item stored at 0th location is this one, whole thing. Remember memory
And location
layout,
of 3 is 1.
right? So
Yes.
item stored at location 1 is this one.
Yes, sir.
Whole of this thing, let me write 0. What will happen, Sarah, if I write 0 here? What will happen?
1 will come.
1 and 7, 8.
178.
7, 8.
178.
Remember,
1
you
This
think
is
of outer list. Think of this outer bracket, and this is a list. When I'm using first level of bracket, that means whatever is stored at first location. Okay, but first location is storing entire this thing. Okay, so that's why you'll get that entire thing. Okay, because the comma is starting at here. This is a inner list. Remember, this is a inner list. This is a entire object. Think of this as an object, which is the first item. After that, the second item is 3, then 4, and then 5, right? So if I type 0, that's why I'm getting 1, 7, and 8, right? Now I got another list of list. Remember, this is a list of list. It is again 2 level of list. Okay, so in order to access, let's say 7, I can again, what should I type if I want to access 7?
0 1 0.
0 1 0.
0 1 0.
1 0.
Yes, very good. So you have to actually draw this thing on the pen and paper and try to see what is going on. Okay, so I can actually talk about quickly what is memory layout, in fact, so that let me draw this picture, what is going on. So this is what is going on here. So what we had was, let us talk about what we are storing here. This is location 0, 1, 2, and 3. First location was storing 1 and then in the bracket 7 and 8. So we had this list. Okay, then 3 and maybe 4 and 5 was there, right? So my list was something like this. The number list was, memory layout was this. So if you look at the memory location of 0th position, right, this one, can you see? So if I access this list with 0 index, it will return me this one, 1, comma, 7 and 8. Okay. So if I access, if I put or subscript number 1, remember this was my number. Okay. So if I say
So if
number,
we put 101, then why did it comes only 7?
yeah, I am coming to that. So this, when I type numbers equal to 0, it will return me this whole thing, what is stored at location 0. So is that clear? Number 0 is returning me this thing.
Yes,
Is
sir.
it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now consider this as another list. Call it as A1. Okay. So this is another list. Now I want to access, let's say, second item of this list. So let me draw this memory layout of this inner list. So this inner list contain how many items, Sarah? How many items are there in this list?
2 items.
2 items, right? So first item stored at location 0 is 1 and stored at location 1 is 7 and 8.
List containing 7, 8. Yes.
Right? So
Yes,
if
sir.
I say I want 7, I have to index this list A1 with 1, right? So that because I want to reach at this position, right? So first I have to go to the inner location.
Yes, sir.
Right? So A11 will return me this inner list 7 and 8.
Yes, sir.
Now another level you can go ahead. Now this list again contains 2 items. Which
Yes,
is
sir. 7, 8.
You know, this is stored at 0. This is stored at location 1.
1.
So again, I have to use, you know, if I want to access 7, I have to, you know,
A1,
use
0.
right? So let us call this new list as A2. So I want to access 7. So I say A2.
A2, 0.
Now you club all these indices together. This index, and this index together in one. So that's why you are getting that one 0, 1, 0. Remember earlier we were doing that whole thing. So here, right, we were 0, 1, 0, right? So it will return me 7, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So I just combined all those, you know, indices together. So that's why I'm getting 7 here. Is that clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
To do some practice.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Okay, let us move on. How to add to a list. So far we discussed, you know, how to create a list, how to access item in the list. Let us talk about how to add item in the list. Okay. So here is we call this as an append operation. So we can use append command. Append will insert an item to the at the end of the list. So here later is a list containing a single item A, and then I am saying latest dot append C. So it will basically add C after A. Okay. So you can see what is going on. Yeah, A and C. Okay. So you can further go and add, you know, latest dot append. You can add maybe Sarah. You can also do that. Sorry, I didn't print letters. I should print the list as well, right? Can you see what is going on? So append is a method you can call to insert item in that list. Okay. So the more item you insert, they will be appended at the end of the list. Okay. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very simple. So append is a function or method. So yeah. So in Python, you want to call some function. So you have to type a dot And when you type dot, if you are using, let's say, some interpreter or Jupyter notebook, it shows how many functions are possible you can call with this object. So let me talk something about this one. Are people familiar with object-oriented programming?
Yes,
C++,
sir.
those who know
Yes, sir.
objects.
Yes, sir.
So if you know what are the objects, so when you create a list, okay, so in Python, this later is basically an object, okay. Data type is very important. Remember in C, we are very careful of the data types, because if you are creating an integer array, right, and then you cannot insert float in this one, it will be an error, right? Python handles all these things implicitly, calling that everything is an object. So when you create a list in this fashion, so later is basically an object, okay. So later is an object, okay. You can actually check the type of. So actually in Python, when you are programming in Python, you don't care of the data type, but it is implicitly there. Sometimes you care about what are the types, because sometimes we do weird things, right? So you want to check what data type is this one. Let us see if D type is there or type command is there, or maybe I think type is a function you can call. Yeah, you can want to check what data type the letter is. If you run the cell, sorry, it is a letters, right? It is a list. Yes. Can you see the strange thing? It is a built-in Python method in order to check what data type you are using. It is clearly says it is a list. Yes. Yes or no?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Very good. So yeah, so in fact, list, tuple, dictionary, everything is an object in Python, right? So in order to, because in C programming, right, when you create a class, from the class you create the object, and there is a data member and member functions are there, right? So member function, sometimes we call that as a method in C++, right? So in order to call those method, we use the dot operator, or maybe how to access an item. You put the dot, and then Jupyter Notebook shows you how many methods you can call. So within this list class, there are so many method you can call: append, clear, copy, count, index, insert, pop, remove, sort, right? So these methods are possible on the list. So append is, can you see? Append is the first method you can call on this object. Can you see? I can go ahead
Yes, sir.
and append and the bracket. Then it further says what it takes. It takes the object. This function, append is a method or function. What it takes the object. Can you see? Append object to the end of the list. Yes or no? It
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir.
it gives you the hint what it will do, right? So
Yes, sir.
you similarly you can check all other methods which are there. You can check clear method. You can call clear, remove all items from the list. If I just type this command, everything will vanish. So see what
Empty.
happens. Okay, so let me show you. Let us, yeah, it is gone. Actually I can type print so that you can see the output. Okay. So earlier the list, later list contained A, C and Sarah. Now after I called clear method, it got cleared. Okay. So this is a nice way to explore all the possible functions or method on the list you can perform, right? So I'm not gonna talk about everything because time is limited. So I'll stop. I'll encourage you to look at other function, copy, count. Count will count. You can check what will count do, right? So return number of occurrences of value, right? So it will count how many times a particular value occurs in that list. Okay. Let me see. Oh, okay. Sorry, I need to print that. Okay, so I just printed. Will it work? I don't know. I haven't used this count because there are so many functions people put. Yeah. So latest dot count.
Yes, 1.
What I want to count, I want to count how many times this A is there in my list. So since A is there only one time, so it says 1. Okay. So I suggest you explore the different method on your own so that you feel comfortable. Okay. So let us move on.
Okay.
So if you want to insert at the beginning of the list, you can go ahead and use this insert command. Insert says that, okay, I want to insert at the 0th location. What I want to insert? B. So it will return, yeah, it will insert B at the 0th
First
location.
position.
First position, right? Because by default, append insert at the end of the list. So what if somebody wants to insert at the beginning of the list, right? So you have
Yes,
to
sir.
specify where you want to insert and what you want to insert. Okay, so that's
Yes,
how
sir.
you do it. So similarly, if you want to insert at location 2, the letter C, you can do that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then
Excuse me,
extending
sir.
yeah.
Sir, will the insert command change the number or the object at that position, or will it
Yeah. So
increase
what
the
happens?
location of every?
So the thing is that it inserts the item. It doesn't change the item which are already there in the list. Because if you see, B, A, C, Sarah was my earlier list. Okay. Location, what was the item at location 2? C. C was there at location 2, correct?
Yes, sir.
0, this is 1, this is 2, right? So I wanted to insert something at location 2, then it didn't remove the earlier C. It just inserted at that location, and basically whatever there was at that location, it shifted everything to the right. Can you see?
Okay, sir. Yes,
Earlier
sir.
C and Sarah, they got shifted. It doesn't change that value. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So that's how it is different. I'll show you another way to insert. Here is a quick way. Let us say I want to insert at location 2, some letter, maybe E. Okay. So this method of inserting will actually replace the older value, right? So in this case, what will happen? Anybody can tell me quickly?
B,
B, E,
Sir,
C,
C will
C.
be replaced. Okay.
A will be replaced by E.
No, sir. C will be replaced by E.
Sorry, no, C will be replaced. Yes,
Replaced
sir,
by
C.
E.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So what I'm
Yes, sir,
saying,
C will be replaced.
so what I'm saying, go to the second position of this list and put letter E at that location. That's it. I'm saying go to the second position of this list and insert the letter E. Okay. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
how this way of inserting is different than this insert method. Okay. So be careful. The way you are inserting it is very subtle. You have to be very careful. Is that clear?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we are going to see how to extend with another list. So there is a extend command. So if you want to append multiple items at once, let us say I had a list in my I had a list E, F, G, and I want to append that list in one go with the latest list. So you can use extend. So basically extend my older list with this new list. So it will just extend. So here EFG got appended at the end of this older list. Older list was this one, remember? And now I just extended my older list with this new item. Right? So extend is another beautiful method you can call, right? Yeah, so change item at one position. We just saw that this one. Let me not run this again. Okay. Swap two items. So let us say you want to swap two items in this list. So you can definitely do this using this array notation. We call this as array notation. So you can use this item 1001. It's a different way of assigning. So let me not run that. Removing item from a list. So having seen how to add item in the list, how to remove item from the list. So there are various ways to do that. One is using the pop method. So you can use the pop method. So this is my latest list. So if I just do the pop, it will return the
Empty.
last element, not everything. It just return. So let us see. Sorry, pop. Yeah, so index removes and return item at index. Default is the last. So by default, the pop method, if you don't pass any value in any index, it will return the last element. Okay, it will delete from the list and it will return actually. Okay, so here, if I pop something out of this list, so last item got deleted. Okay, can you see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Very simple.
Yes,
So
sir.
if you specify what item you want to pop, you can give the index of that item. Let's say I want to pop maybe second item. Let us see what happens. Can you see what is going on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It deleted
Second item
C.
got popped, right? Very simple. Pop by index. There is another way to remove item. So if you want to specifically remove an item, you can use this remove command. It will work, right? Okay, so yeah, I mean, you can explore all other, all these commands, sorting,
sir.
how to sort a list and so on. So let us quickly move to tuples, okay, because I'm bound to times. So tuple is basically is another way to create sequences, right? What is a sequence? Sequence is nothing but you want to create contiguous items, right? Similar to array or similar to list. So a tuple is basically created using this parenthesis, right? So in list, we use the square bracket. For creating tuples, we use this parenthesis. Can you see? Very carefully look at this one.
Yes, sir.
So it creates
Yes,
the
sir.
tuple. Yeah, it got created. You can actually create tuple with comma as well. Here is another way to create tuples. If you just don't put parenthesis, by default, it creates the tuple, right? You can also create empty tuple using parenthesis. If you don't pass anything, it will create an empty tuple, right? Yes.
What is the difference between list and tuple then?
Yeah, I'll talk about that in a moment. I'll come to that. Let us talk about some features of a tuple, right? So you saw how to create tuples, right? You can create tuple with a single item. So you can ask why I'm talking about tuple. What is the advantage, right? The thing is that list is there's a term called mutable versus immutable data structures or data types, if you will. So in Python, there are something which you can, okay, sorry. So in Python, there are something which you can mutate. That means you can change, and sometimes are not mutable. You cannot change. So list item, you have already seen that I can update those items. I can change those items, right? The major difference between a list and tuple is that tuple items are not changeable. You cannot change them. So if, for example, if you have one at this location, if I want to update this with something 5 or -1, you cannot do that, right? So tuple are immutable. You cannot change them. So this is where tuples are useful, right? Okay.
Okay.
It's a one-line answer. Okay. So we'll see why we need actually immutable items when we talk about dictionary. Okay. Behaviors, what are the features shared by list and tuples? So let us see what are the common features of list and tuples. So one thing is this one. If you want to check whether a certain item is present using in operator, So in is a very built-in operator, you can say, in Python, in order to check whether something is there or not, right? So 3 in this one tuple, so it will return true or false, right? So if 3 is there, so it will return true, otherwise it will say false. So similarly, if it is not in the list, for example here, so not in both are very similar. Okay, you can say also not in. So false, because 3 is there, that's why it returned false. Can you see? Because same operator I can use with the tuples as well as list, right? So same mechanism applies to check whether a particular item is present or not. Similarly, you can iterate over the list. Okay, you can use a for loop and so on, right? So let us move on. Slicing. Slicing is a very powerful feature of Python. So let us say we created a list of this one, and I want to access item starting at 3 and go up to, so this is a colon notation. So slice is basically I want to access from here to here, right? Or maybe from here to here. So this is what we call as a slice. Slice, I hope everybody is familiar with slice of pizza, right? Those who are pizza lovers,
Yes, sir.
you get a slice, basically you get a fragment of the pizza, right? So similarly, you slice a list, basically you get a fragment of the list, right? So this notation is square bracket notation. Within this notation, we pass the starting location from where you want to slice and up to which location -1. So actually in Python, this last index is not accessed. We just access that index just before that location. So here I'm saying, okay, start from 3. 3, which letter is 3 location? Third location.
D.
D.
D, right? So it will
D.
start slicing from here and it will go to which location?
E.
It will
DE.
it will try to go up to here because that's the 4th location. But I mentioned last location is not returned. Okay, in
Yes,
Python, this location
Yes,
is not returned.
D.
It returns up to, so it will return just one letter.
D.
Okay, D. That's it.
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to return E, you have to make it to, I want to return D and E both. What should I type?
5.
5.
C5.
Right? So it will return item at location 3 and 4. Clear?
If
Yes,
we do
sir.
3 to 5, then why will it come DE?
Because I return the item at starting at 3, then I go to the next location at 4, and I try to return item 5 as well. But in Python say don't return this last item at this location.
Okay.
That's
got
the
it.
rule. Okay. So you start slicing from 3 up to last index -1. That here is the rule. Let us start up to last index -1. Okay, so you return all elementals from starting whatever the index is there up to last index -1. Okay, that's the rule. Okay, so sit in slice from beginning. You can also omit. So if you don't specify the start location, so slicing will start from the beginning. So here I am not mentioning the start location. So it will start slicing from the very beginning of this tuple. Okay, so it sliced A, B, C, D, right? Because D is at location 4 -1, 3, right? Yes.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so this is very strange thing. So in fact, you can also, what happens if I do 4 colon, what will happen here? Let me ask. What would be the output?
EF.
Yes, sir.
What is the output of this command?
EF.
E.
EF.
E and
EF.
F. Those who told this one is correct.
E and F, yes.
Okay. So I am saying start slicing at location 4 and go till the end, because last index is not specified. Go till the end. Okay. So that's the idea. Here is another way to access the list from the negative indices. Now this is very interesting. What would be the output of this command?
Last 4 numbers. C, D, E, F.
You are saying C, D, E, F.
E, F.
So start location is -4. -4 is -1, -2, -3, -4, right? So you'll start accessing from C, D, E, F. Those who mentioned is correct. Okay. Start accessing from this location, go till the end. Okay. C, D, E, F. Yes. Okay. So there is another way. You can actually specify the step size. How many items you want to access? One item at a time. All the odd items, all the even items you can try out. Okay. So here is the way. So you can insert double colon, or you can also, let me talk about with this same example. So I want to access A, C, and E, all the item at odd positions. Okay. So how can I do that in Python? All the odd items. So I say, okay, start with 0. So start from the beginning of the list. Okay. Go till the end, and step size step size is 1. Okay. So if you do step size 1, it will return what? Everything. So basically my jump, because I want all the odd items, so I am jumping to one item, right? So I have to say 2. So in this case, I return A, C, and E. So this is not something easy to digest, believe me. Okay. So what is going on? Let me tell. So first, here is, I haven't specified anything. Okay. So nothing is specified. So think of, I have to write something over here. Okay. So nothing is specified before first column. That means start from the beginning of the list. Okay. Nothing is specified here. That means go till the end. And what would be my step size? Okay. So step size is 2.
How many elements to jump?
So start from the beginning. Start with A, print it, and jump with 2 steps. Jump with 2 steps, 1 and 2. Go here, print it, again jump 2 steps, E. Okay, and then you reach the end of the list. That's it. So that's why you are getting this, this output A, C, and E. You can specify also 3. So if you specify 3, it will jump 3 steps now. Okay. So that's why you are getting A and D. Yes or no?
Yes.
So what happens if I type -1? This is very interesting.
F.
Because Gajendra is asking the data are not in the bracket because this is a tuple, not a list. Okay. So, but the same operation applies with the list as well. Okay. So what is the output of this command?
F, E, D, C, B, A.
Okay, who is this? May I know the name? Okay, very nice answer.
Priya.
Okay, so this is a nice way to reverse the entire list or tuple, whatever you want to call it. So it will reverse the entire list. Right now, you think about why it is happening. So this is just something you need to think. So in order to reverse a list, you type 2 colon and put -1. That's it. Okay. So if you want to reverse the list or tuple, you type 2 colon and -1. That's it. Okay, I'm skipping this thing. Let me, because I have a time limitation. I'm going directly to dictionary, because there are so many commands you can explore, right? So let me go to, so I have talked about list and tuple. Let me go to the dictionary. Then I'll talk about, I think, sets as well. Okay. Dictionary. So dictionaries are basically hash table. Those who are familiar with hash tables, people are familiar with hash table. Hash table, right? So there is a key, there is a value, right? So this is a hash table. So given a set of keys, okay, key K1, key K2, you map those keys to locations, slots, you know. So in Python dictionary, we use this braces to create a dictionary, and we use this key value pair, key colon value. Okay, so that's the notation to represent dictionary in Python. Okay, so that's what I'm going to talk about. Think of dictionary as a hash table, or map. Sometimes people call it. So in order to create a dictionary, you use these braces. So it creates an empty dictionary, or you can also type DICT dict. It will also again create a dictionary. So yeah, you can also create a dictionary based on key value pairs. For example, you can specify, okay, my key is A, value is 2. Now if I print it, actually some iterable should be there. Okay, just a minute. What I'm doing wrong. Okay, so it should be key value pairs. So actually you have to put 2 brackets. Sorry. Actually, that command is useful. Yeah. So this is a, I think you have to pass key value pair here. Okay, it should work or no. So yeah, it requires a length of 2. So this is a different way to create a list, but I'll talk about how to create a dictionary on the fly. Okay, so easier way is this one. You use this brace and you type what is the key, then colon value, what is the key, then what is the value. Okay, so this is the simple way to create a dictionary. Okay, so let us say, so here A, F, these are the key, and the second after colon, whatever the value you are seeing, that's the value. Okay, so it's a one way to create a dictionary. Another one is using the dict command, right? Dict, you can call that object with some value. So here, if you have a pair of key and values, okay, in this list of list, let's say you have a list of list, and from this list of list you want to create a dictionary, so you can pass that list of list into this DICT. It will create the dictionary, right? It's a very shortcut way to create a dictionary. Okay, so key 1 value 1, key 2 value 2, and so on. So basically you are passing the pairs, right? You can create empty dictionary using the curly brace. We have already seen. Using another, we have already seen. It's another way to create a dictionary using this way, using the braces, right? And if you want to access item in this dictionary, you can use this square bracket notation, similar to how we do in list, right? So if I want to access the value associated to key 1, you can access value 1. Can you see?
Yes.
Value corresponding to key 1 is value 1. So that's how you got it. Recall this index notation. It's very similar to list, but since dictionary is a dictionary data structure, so that's why you are getting this value, right? Add a key value pair. So if you have already a dictionary, you want to add a new key value, right? So you can say use this square bracket to specify the key and what is the value I want to store. You will specify that in a string here, and this is your now you have inserted a third key 3, value 3. What will happen if I say key 2? Can you tell me what will happen here? If I insert value 3 at key 2.
Then the value of key 2 is replaced by value 3.
So it's basically replacing or updating the dictionary value at key 2, right? Now, can you see at key 2, I am getting value 3.
Yes, sir.
Right? Yeah, so updating value for existing keys. So that's we just looked at. So if you want to update, value at a particular key, you can actually use this square bracket notation. Now, and specify a new value for that key. It's very simple, right? Okay. One very important thing about dictionary is that all the keys should be unique, right? This is very subtle thing. If you notice here, all the keys are distinct. Can you see? Key 1, key 2, key 3, right? They are unique.
Yes, sir.
How about the values? Are they supposed to be distinct?
Values can be
No, sir.
repeated.
Value can be the same, but key should be distinct. You can think of keys are roll number of the student. No two student can have the
Yes,
same roll
sir.
number. So similarly, in the dictionary, no two keys can be the same. Okay. 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 So you want to retrieve the key, which is their list of all the keys. I want to know how many keys are there. It's basically return all the roll number in a class, right? So you say dictionary dot keys, right? So using this dot keys and then parentheses, you return all the keys, right? Similarly, you can say dictionary dot values. It will return all the values, okay? Value 1, value 2, value 3, right? Or you can use the items dot items. So it will basically return a tuple iterable of yeah, so it returns a list of tuples of key and value, right? So dot item is very useful command to iterate over the list, right? So here we are using dot items command in a for loop. I'm sorry, I don't know if you are aware of for loop. Are you familiar with for loops in Python?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very great. So I want to iterate over all the keys and values in the dictionary. So I put this dictionary dot items in a for loop and key and value. So basically dictionary dot items, it will return this thing over here, right? This is basically nothing a list of tuples. Can you see? In this list, we have tuple 1, tuple 2, and then tuple 3, right? So key and value will store, will iterate over each tuple. So key 1, key and value, it will print basically each key and value in the dictionary, right? Key 1, value 1, key 2, value 2, key 3, value 3, right? So that's how you iterate over key and value in the dictionary, right? Very simple. If you want to check if an item is there in the dictionary, you use this in a key. If key is there or not, you check using this key in operator. Remember, we use that in within the list and tuple, right? I wanted to
Yes,
check
sir.
3 was there, 3 in this one or not. So in is very shorthand to check the membership. Okay, so yeah, get method is there. You can check. So get method is basically given a key, I want to return the value, right? So get will return given a key, give me the value, right? So here I can delete this one basically, bad key. So yeah, so get method return nothing if this key is not present. So remember in dictionary there was no bad key. Bad key, is there a key named bad key? No, right? My keys are named key 1, key 2, key 3. So that's why you're not getting this as an output. In fact, it is not an error in Python. I don't know, there was some reason. When the key is not present, you don't get any error, right? So you have to be very careful with this one. So you can type, you can return, let us say, another way to return a values, key 1, if you type, so it will return value 1, right? So get method is there to retrieve value corresponding to a key. In order to delete a value, you say del. You can use this del function, and then within the del function you say dictionary followed by corresponding to which key I want to delete. So if you want to delete the value corresponding to key 1, it will delete the key as well as the value, right? So that's how you delete the key value pair. Okay. Keys, this is very important thing, people. Keys must be immutable. This is where you should be careful that keys in dictionary should be immutable. That means a list cannot be used as key, okay, because lists are mutable, you can change. See here what happens. You are getting error, right? So here items is a list, okay. Map is a dictionary, and within the dictionary I want to insert some my key is this item, and at that location I want to insert some value, right? And I got some error. Error is unhashable type list. What does it mean? It means list cannot be used as a key because list is a mutable. Okay. So remember,
Okay, sir.
all the keys in the dictionary should be immutable. That means integers, float, tuples, strings, they can be used as a key in dictionary because they are immutable. Can you change 2? Because 2 is 2, right? You cannot divide 2. Right? So that's why tuples are immutable, hence hashable. Right here, you have seen. You can see, right? Item is a tuple, and at that location, I'm hashing some value. I'm putting some value, so that's why it was possible. I didn't get an error. But when earlier item was a list, I got this error. Right? So this is where
Yes.
two things are different. Okay. So let me cover the sets and then I'll stop because these were the topics I was supposed to cover. Sets are very similar to what is a set in mathematics. What is a set in mathematics? Anybody can point out?
It is a well-defined collection of distinct objects having at least one common property.
It is an collection of
It is a
unordered,
well-defined collection.
well-defined, unordered. The set is ordered or unordered?
Sir, unordered. It may be unordered.
Why?
So it is just a collection of well-defined collection of distinct objects. Objects must be unique.
So sets and list are different. Set is an ordered collection of items and set is unordered collection of items. And all the items in the set should be distinct. They cannot be the same. So if you are repeating, they won't be stored. Here it is. Here it goes, right? So I had a tuple of A, B, and C. From the tuple, I created a set using the set method. Okay. So to a set I passed this tuple, and in the tuple A was repeating. But when I printed the set, I just got A, B, and C. Can you see this magic?
Yes.
So set basically removes the duplicates, right?
Yes.
That's the advantage. So if there are duplicate, it will remove, it will not store. So that's where it is handy. You can count the unique item in a list or tuple. You can actually also make it a list also. So set can also accept a list or tuple, whatever you have, right? So you can pass, it will work. Right? And it's also interesting is this one. Can you see? Set is represented using this brace. Everybody sees this one?
Yes, sir. This is the notation of set. This brace is used.
Yes.
Similar to dictionary as well. We use this also in the dictionary as well, right? But dictionary store the key and value, but sets just stores the keys, or you can think of, right? No values here. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you can also create set from a string. So here it goes. You can pass, yeah. So it just remove all the duplicates, right? Mississippi, I think. Okay. So, and also the order of item is not doesn't matter in sets, right? So that's why you're getting IMPS. Next time maybe if I run, you will get, yeah, right? So you can create sets from the list, tuples, or strings, right? If I pass dictionary, will it work? Let me see. How many of you thinks if I pass dictionary, it will work? Will it work? Let us see. Even I don't know. Okay, it worked. So what it did was it took all the keys and made a unique collections, right? Key and 2 and key 3 were there. So it took the keys from the dictionary and created the set from that key. Okay. It doesn't take the values, right? So if you want to create the set from the value, you have to give it specifically. You can create sets using the curly brace, something like that. Okay, that's the usual way, very naive way actually. Now you can explore, put a dot and explore it, right? What are the different method I can call? Clear, copy, difference. Difference basically set difference. You can do set intersection, each subset, each disjoint. So many functions are set difference, union, intersection you can perform, right? So I will leave it to you to explore, what are different methods. All mathematical operations are actually, not all, maybe, depends on how many mathematical operations which are done in mathematics, right? Like set union, intersection, set difference. These functions are implemented, right? So you can explore on your own, right? Here is another way how to add an item. So you can go ahead and use dot add. So in list we use append, but in sets we use add. Okay. So that's
Okay, sir.
you can use this pop method to remove and returns a random element of the set. So that's really strange. So if you call the pop, it will remove a random element. Sets have no order, hence cannot be accessed by indexing, right? So if you just type say Ford, it is an error because we don't know which index you are talking about, right? So
Yes.
so yeah, so you can explore how to check membership is there. You can use in. So they set operations. You have two sets. You can use this set difference s1 minus s2. Sorry, I have to run this cell first, right? So two sets I created, and then take the set difference. Very simple. You can do set one. I think set difference items in either or both sets, right? Either or. This is the intersection. Items in either set but not in the both, right? So these are different operations you can do with sets. Okay. If you want to explore more, I suggest you check the Python documentation, python.org, and you check this library reference, right? So if you go to the library reference, so many functions are there: int, float, integer, list, tuple, range, bytes, dictionary, yeah, what are the strings, dictionary, I think, yeah, if you explore this.
Sir?
Yeah.
Sir, I kindly request you to share this document with us so that
I already shared in the chat. If you look at the chat box, right, it is there.
this one, sir, from which you are teaching.
Yeah. Right. So yeah. So in order to explore more, you go to the python.org website. There they talk about lots of things. Here you can create dictionary using 1 equal to 2, 2 equal to 2, 2, 3 equal to 3. It's another way to create a dictionary. They have tiny code example. You can copy this code in your notebook or in your Python interpreter and run it, right? So it's a different way to create a dictionary. I think so many ways, right?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, can you briefly explain the loop?
Loop. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I have 1 minute, so I'll talk about loops. So loop in Python, we usually go for loop. So let's say I want to iterate over a range of numbers 0 to 10. So I will say for I in, okay, then I say print I, that's it. So what is happening is that in the for loop, I am specifying where I want to iterate. I want to iterate all the numbers starting with 0 to, let's say, 9, because the range, the last number is not printed, okay? Because that's the, it is basically the size of the list I want to iterate, you can say, right?
Yes, sir.
So it is saying I in range. So I would be equal to first 0, then I would be 1, then 2, then 3, and then 4, and 5, 6, 7, and so on. So that's why you are getting print I equal to 1, right? In fact, you can specify any iterable here. You can put a list here, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4. You can in fact use tuple as well, right? Any iterable where so what is a iterable? I'm saying iterable. You check the glossary website here. So what is a iterable here? I have already shown you, right? Go to the python.org, explore there what is a iterable. Iterable means that can be iterated. I can go through each item in the sequence, right? Can it be
Yes.
a set also? It can be set also, right? It is a sequence. Yeah, right? It's a very simple. You can also use a dictionary, right, to iterate over. Another short way is called list comprehension. List comprehension. Okay, so list comprehension is basically a very shortcut way to iterate. So let's say I want to create a list of 10 numbers for I in range. Range 10. So the same for loop, for I in range 10, I am putting I over here. Okay, so it will create a list, same list. So that's the beauty of list comprehension, right? There's another comprehension you should check. It's a one-line for loop. So if somebody says, can you create a list of 10 numbers in one line quickly? Or maybe you can create, list of 1 million numbers in one line code. That's it. It will create a list of 1 million numbers. So we call this a list comprehension. You check it out by Google search. What is a list comprehension? Okay, so I'll stop here because my time is over. So I covered visual sets and dictionaries. Okay. Is there any question you can ask? Okay, I'm happy to take it.
Thank you, sir.
Professor Suresh, are you there? Not sure.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you so much, sir, for this.
Thank you, sir.
And
Thank you,
participants
sir.
have learned fast.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for giving us your precious time. All of you.
Okay, so should I leave?
No, sir.
Yeah, sir.
Okay,
Thank you, sir. You
okay.
explained that.
Okay, I had actually found this audience very interactive and very active throughout 2 hours. Nobody slept, so that was really encouraging for me. So you are really a wonderful audience, everyone. All right. So have a nice day. Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.